Welcome to the 2025 U.S. Open at Oakmont Country Club in Oakmont, Pennsylvania. Located just 24 miles from downtown Pittsburgh, Oakmont is one of the most challenging golf courses in the world. Featuring viciously long and thick rough, large and undulating greens, and one of the most iconic clubhouses in all of golf. Taking a tour of the course before the event, we saw the downhill first hole with a severely sloped approach shot and green. The famous church pew bunkers that sit to the left of the third and fourth holes. The drivable par 3 8th hole. The arduous uphill 9th hole. The ridiculously long but downhill 12th hole. The drivable par 4 17th hole. And the demanding 18th finishing hole. The course is almost as difficult as it is beautiful. But here at GolfWRX.com, we know what you're really here for. You're here for the gear. And for that, we got you covered. What's great about the US Open is that anyone with a 1.4 USGA handicap index or lower can qualify for the event. And in the bags of the qualifiers, you can spot some pretty cool stuff. In the bag of Austen Truslow, who currently plays on the Asian Tour, we spotted a beat-up old TaylorMade Sim Max driver. Equipped with the Project X Even Flow Riptide Proto Shaft and a Black Cure putter. To get the story behind his bag setup and his one-handed chipping technique, we caught up with Austin himself on Wednesday.
My old friend Jim Barfield started working with them about 11 years ago, and he fit for me in Rife putters, and he really believed in the product, and he introduced me to Jeff Ryan, who runs it now, and I put it in, and I've been using it more or less the last 10 years.
You've been using it for 10 years?
Yeah, on and off, but yeah, I've kind of always gone back to it. It's so forgiving, you know, the MOI is really high, and you can adjust the weights, and then you can loosen up these screws here and the screws in the bottom, and then adjust the knob. So you can change the lie angle without having to go to a shop or bend it. Mm-hmm. And then you can change these weights. You can put aluminum weights, steel weights, and you can just make the MOI as high as you want by just adding more and more weight to it.
Do you do that stuff yourself?
Oh yeah. I've got Allen wrenches and weights at home.
Okay, so you're a real gearhead.
Not so much, but yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit, yeah.
And we heard about the driver. You got to tell me a little bit about the driver. How'd that end up in the bag?
So I was having dinner with my friend RJ. He's a 28 handicap, and I was talking to him about drivers, and I was telling him in 2020 that was the best year I drove it, and that was a Sim Max year, and I was using the QI10 last year, which I liked, but I just was kind of tempted to retry the Sim Max, but I didn't have one. And so at dinner, he had it in his trunk, and I get it out of his trunk, which there's all sorts of junk in there, including this thing. But he's got a lot on the face, and then he's got these dings on the top. And the swing weight wasn't right, so I had to add these to get it to D4.
Okay.
And yeah, it's at D4 now, and it performs great, and it tested the USGA driver head test, thank God. I was worried about
So you
that.
passed.
I passed, yeah.
Okay, congratulations.
So, yeah, thank you. But yeah, I mean, this thing is beat to heck, but it performs great, and I mean, I'm going to use it as long as it will keep lasting.
Hey, if it works. Did you have to reshaft it?
No, I've actually had this even flow Riptide shaft in the bag. Tom Bill on the Corn Ferry built it for me in 2020, and I haven't switched it since.
Okay.
So this is my 5th year with this shaft.
Okay. But you put that shaft in the 28 handicapper's head.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even look that bad. It's good looking head.
No, I mean, small sky
Just
mark.
a few of the sky marks there, and then, yeah, I mean, some T marks all over the face. But that's good.
He really got him all
I
over
mean,
the
look at
face.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's actually coming out this week. After I qualified, I texted him and asked him how he felt that his driver was going to be at Oakmont next week, and then I said, it's not the club now.
That's a good line.
Yeah.
And then real quick, can you tell us a little bit about the one-handed chipping technique that you use?
Yeah, so I started really struggling with my chipping in 2014, and I was trying so many different techniques, so many different types of methods, just tinkering constantly on my chipping to just try to find a consistent low point, use the club better. And I started using the one-handed technique as a drill, and almost immediately started chipping it better, and the contact got better. And that was like the main thing, was just getting the contact right. And so I switched to it full time in 2016, and I've been doing it ever since. I've been implementing a little bit more with the two hands like the last year and a half, but if I'm off a tight Bermuda fairway lie with less than 30 yards, there's a good chance it's going to be a one-handed shot.
So if you're in the rough, you'll go two hands around here. If you're in the fairway, you're going one.
Here, yeah, you need so much speed, unless you have a decent lie and you only need to carry it, less than 6-7 yards. But most of the lies aren't going to be that good. So yeah, you need to really steepen it and kind of have a longer swing. And with one hand, you can't really control the face well enough if you produce that much speed. And then once you hit the ground with this rough, it's going to turn it right over, and it's going to be hard to control. So yeah, I'm going to chip mostly with two hands this week.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Have fun this week. Play well.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate the time.
Yeah, of course.
We also spotted some Tour Edge marksman wedges in the bag of qualifier Grant Hafner, and a ton of college stand bags that you just don't see much at typical PGA Tour events. Speaking of custom bags, we gotta shout out some of the custom stuff we spotted from various manufacturers this week, including Callaway, Ping, TaylorMade, PXG, Scotty Cameron, Lab Golf, and Cobra. Then Jason Day himself kept things super festive with a pair of Stars and Stripes Malbon shorts, and a Pittsburgh-inspired yellow DeWalt bag. Then we found some gear news inside of Jason Day's bag by way of a new driver shaft on the end of his Gamer Ping driver. He wasn't the only one to switch driver shafts this week either. After a FaceTime driver fitting with Titleist Tour rep JJ Van Wiesenbeck, Justin Thomas switched into a new GT2 9-degree driver head in a D4 SureFit hosel setting, equipped with a new Fujikura Ventus Black Velo Plus 6X shaft. JJ told us JT dropped spin from 2800 RPM to 2500 RPM with the new build, and is now averaging about 179 miles per hour ball speed. In other Titleist gear news, Tom Kim switched into a new set of Titleist T100 irons, and we caught up with Titleist fitter Nick Geyer to learn why.
Yeah, Tom has been working through since 4G came out. We've been testing a little bit, and this week I think was a turning point when it came to some of the performance he was seeing, some of the feel that he was seeing, and we worked through all the irons on a little bit of Sunday, but mostly Monday, and he just liked what he saw. Nothing jumped out from a performance perspective that he was looking for, but as we went club to club, he just really liked the way 4G was through the turf. He liked the way it looked, and made its way to the course, and they're still in the bag, so I'm excited to see that.
So any spec changes with that? Anything with the shaft?
No spec changes, just as he was in 3G. He's got a new T254 iron, which is exciting. He bounced around a little bit on the 4 iron in 3G, some 150s, some 200s, but really like 250 in the 4 iron. So, but no spec changes, no, just as he was, and excited to see something new next to the wall.
What's it like working with Tom Kim?
Tom's incredible. I love Tom. Tom gives great feedback. He is a joy to be around, and he is a flusher for sure. He stripes it, and so anything you give Tom, it's good feedback, and he usually hits it right out of the middle, which is always fun.
What else are you seeing out here this week?
Thick rough. I think the golf course is challenging. I got to walk the front 9 a little bit on Monday, and guys are just trying to figure it out. Obviously, it's changing every day, which is really cool. And I think from my perspective, the guys that have a game plan and that are just trying to work their game plan, I think will be successful. Obviously, some guys doing some hybrids, some 7-woods, trying to figure it out, but at least what I've seen, the rough is so thick that I don't know that one of those clubs has an advantage. I think it's probably more preference and what works into the green from the fairway. So if the guy prefers 7-wood or hybrid, that may be the choice that way, rather than what works better out of the rough, because the places I saw was 5 or 6 inches and wet, and so if you get a bad lie, you're not getting anything out of it.
Any other specific players making changes?
I think we'll see some guys maybe put some stuff in, but nothing that I can comment on yet. We're kind of waiting on Thursday to see.
Appreciate you as always.
Thanks, Tursky.
For our weekly Adam Scott gear news, he added a new Titleist driving iron to his setup. But he wasn't done there. He also switched back into his custom AS Miura blade irons. And he switched into his light green colored Lab golf putter, which has a bit of a lighter weight compared to his Gamer Blue option. Scott switched to the lightweight build to help handle the lightning fast greens at Oakmont. Checking in on the 2025 Masters champion, Rory McIlroy changed up his driver this week, returning to a TaylorMade QI10 driver head equipped with a Ventus shaft. Alright, before we get to some live golfer news, let's check out some absolute gems that we spotted inside the USGA Museum experience this week. Including Johnny Miller's set that he used to shoot a record-breaking 63 at Oakmont in 1973 en route to victory. We also spotted Dustin Johnson's winning 6-iron, Rory's winning 6-iron, and Brooks Koepka's winning 9-iron. Then, we headed to the merchandise tent inside the US Open Village to check out their array of US Open hats. Hoodies. Custom Seamus stamped ball markers, and way more. Okay, let's get to some live golfer news. Since the last time we saw Bryson DeChambeau at the 2025 PGA Championship, he's made a major change to his iron setup. Now, Bryson has a bag full of LA Golf irons with a super unique design out on the toe. In a Tuesday press conference, Bryson said this about the irons. Yeah, so we iterated on the design of the face. The heel is a little bit flatter on the curvature. My face obviously has some curvature on the irons. So we're just optimizing for the gear effect on the heel and on the toe based on the mass properties that are there. The heel doesn't gear effect as much in an iron at my speeds, so hitting it on the heel, I've got to be a little flatter. And then the toe has a little bit more roundness on it to account for that out there. And then I move the CG out towards the toe. I've got such heavy grips and heavy golf shaft that it moves the CG of the club all the way to the heel, so we try to offset that with that tungsten weight on the toe. That's very simply what it is. We also saw Bryson absolutely smash a drive on the 9th hole on Wednesday using his crank driver. We did spot Bryson testing out some LA golf drivers early in the week, but he's still working through those prototypes. For now, he'll stick with the crank until those are ready. In other live golfer news, we got a great look into the bags of Cam Smith, Joaquin Niemann, Jon Rahm, and Phil Mickelson, who has a wild amount of lead tape on his wedges and some Sharpie markings for identification. GolfWRX.com's expert What's in the Bag photographer Greg Moore also spotted Dustin Johnson with a new set of Cleveland wedges. And we watched along as DJ hit some spinners with him at the short game area. Speaking of Cleveland Srixon, and back to some PGA Tour players, we caught up with Ryan Fox to check out his bag setup, which he used to win the recent RBC Canadian Open in his last start. We then got a great look at Chris Kirk's Callaway MB prototypes, with in-hand footage of his 5-iron, 7-iron, and 9-iron. Callaway isn't yet speaking on the new prototypes, but something about them is working, because we also spotted them in Thomas Dietrich's bag. And last but not least, we watched along as Michael Lasasso, aka the Quad King, smashed golf balls with his 2025 NCAA Championship winning golf swing, as he prepared to play in his first ever US Open this week. And with that, unfortunately, we say goodbye to Oakmont Country Club and this year's US Open. Don't forget to head over to GolfWRX.com's forums to check out all of Greg Moore's What's in the Bag photos. This week, with 52 different photo galleries, he was all about business.
You notice anything different about this bag from the PGA Championship?
I'm not talking to media today.
We'll see you next time on GolfWRX.com's video series, Inside the Ropes.